Austin Powers in Goldmember, the third and final film, at least so far, in the Austin Powers trilogy. Although apparently people have rumoured for years that a fourth Austin Powers movie is happening. So far, as of 2026, it has yet to materialise. And most people seem to agree the Austin Powers franchise is probably laid to rest. Would Goldmember live up to the heights that The Spy Who Shagged Me did? Not quite. I mean, as I said in my review of The Spy Who Shagged Me, that film was like the third highest grossing film of 1999. Goldmember would end up in the top 10 films of 2002, but would only reach number 7. It would beat out Men in Black 2, Ice Age, and A Beautiful Mind, but would ultimately lose out on the kind of higher places to the likes of Spider-Man, Star Wars Attack of the Clones, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Signs, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. So clearly this franchise had kind of run its course at this point. Now, I think I said in my review of the first Austin Powers film, International Man of Mystery, that my main kind of association at the time with the Austin Powers franchise was I remembered, like, I think it was my first year of high school. It was either the last week before Christmas or the last science class before Christmas or the last one before the end of the year. The teacher put on Austin Powers Goldmember, and I remember the opening scene with kind of load of celebrities kind of directing an Austin Powers film directed by Steven Spielberg. That was kind of my main association with the film, and I remembered parts of it, but I don't think we watched the entire thing that lesson. But anyway, the setup for this film is that Mike Myers, as Austin Powers, once again manages to stop the evil plans of Dr. Evil, played once again by Michael Myers, and has him and his Mini-Me, played once again by Von Troyer, sent to prison. Or rather, Mini-Me is sent to prison, Dr. Evil is sent to a maximum security penitentiary. However, when Myers or Powers discovers that his father has been kidnapped by an evil villain from the past named Goldmember, he agrees that if Dr. Evil gives him the information he desires, he will arrange to have Dr. Evil move to the same facility where Mini-Me is being kept. Anyway, he ends up doing so, and Dr. Evil and Mini-Me eventually escape the prison. Myers travels back in time using another time machine to the 1970s, where he ends up meeting up with an ex-flame of his named Foxy Cleopatra, played by Beyonce Knowles, and also ends up rescuing his father from the evil Goldmember. Another character played by Myers. I mean, you've got Myers in this film plays Austin Powers, Dr. Evil, Goldmember, and once again the Scottish gentleman that I mentioned in The Spy Who Shagged Me, who I'm not going to say the name of, at least for here on YouTube. So you've got them. You've also got the return of Michael York as Basil Exposition. You've got Seth Green, once again, as Scott Evil, Mindy Sterling as Frau Farbacina. But you've also got the return of number 2, played by 3 actors in this film, Robert Wagner, Rob Lowe, and Evan Farmer. Now, obviously, the kind of big additions to this film now are Foxy Cleopatra, played by Beyonce Knowles, who I feel they could have brought back Heather Graham, but then, I don't know, maybe they could have given a more of an explanation as to why she isn't there, but then the big addition to this film is Sir Michael Caine as Nigel Powers, and they kind of frame him as kind of like a deadbeat dad. Like, they show a point in time where Dr. Evil and Powers were at school together, and then when Powers achieved the kind of award of the school at his graduation of International Man of Mystery, his father didn't show up, and also his father didn't show up for his knighthood when he became Sir Austin Powers at the start of the film. So they kind of frame him that way, but then they do kind of make up for it in the end to show why Nigel has always kind of been distant from him. And he does get a few funny scenes, even if not many. Also, you have the addition here of a character who works for the British Secret Service, played by Fred Savage, and he's shown to be a mole for the other side. or rather, he's on the evil side, but he's acting as a mole for the British Secret Service. And the whole thing, the big joke for this film about him is that when Powers meets him, he has to note he's got a kind of mole on his upper cheek, a Monroe mole. It's just the entire time going out, mole. I mean, I can't judge. I mean, for anyone, you might not be able to see it the best in this lighting, but you can probably tell I've got a mole over my left eyebrow, so I can't really comment on stuff like that. But I think, once again, I think they push it just past the point of which you think it would be traditionally funny, but I never think they do it kind of mean-spiritedly, and they manage to have a lot of fun with it. Ultimately, I've heard people describe it that the Austin Powers series was kind of slowly discovered over time. It wasn't a great hit out the gate. Like, the first film was alright, the second film was really good, and then the third film is where it started to die off slightly. And that's mainly because people described it as it was a kind of an inside joke. That people saw the films and they kind of grew to like them, but then by the third film, you had a lot more kind of big star power in it, and that's just not as fun. I mean, you had, as I said, at the start of the film, you've got a film version being made by Steven Spielberg with a lot of kind of big-name actors. Tom Cruise, Gwyneth Paltrow, Kevin Spacey, Danny DeVito, Britney Spears, and you've also got an appearance in there by the late Ozzy Osbourne, to which it's kind of a repeat of the joke from the previous film where a satellite is falling to Earth by Dr. Evil and Goldmember, and they once again cut to different parts of the conversation to describe what a woman's breasts look like. And then just, you've got it that Osborne's are just watching it and it's like, boobs! What? What are you talking about, Dad? These filmmakers are just boobs. I mean, they're doing the same joke they did in the previous Austin Powers. Once again, they probably play it a little too long, but I don't know. Overall, I think the second Austin Powers movie is the kind of gem of the series, but Goldmember wasn't necessarily bad. It just, I think by that point, the joke had finally run out. But once again, it's not bad. It has some fun moments, especially towards the end. And also, I've gone the entire time without talking about Goldmember as to why he is the way he is. It's revealed that at first he just wanted power, but then he kind of lost his genitalia in a smelting accident, which just makes it really weird. And then by the end of the film, we've also got the kind of Scottish gentleman who's kind of shown to be overweight, and partway through the film he's a sumo wrestler, and then by the end of the film, when they're all watching the kind of big film on screen, and he says, well, go on the Subway diet. I mean, and he's now thinner, but got a lot of excess skin. I'm like, okay. So, also, I think they're trying to set things up, possibly if they did go on to do a fourth film, to have Seth Green as like the main villain taking over from Dr. Evil. Like, in the previous two films, it was kind of shown how Dr. Evil is really kind of disappointed with his son. But in this film, they start to work things out, which makes Mini-Me the odd one out, and even Mini-Me defecting. They had some fun with that. But I think overall, Goldmember didn't quite reach up to the heights. But once again, this was a series I didn't really understand properly when I started going into it earlier this year. And now I've watched it through, I get why people liked it. And maybe I've just grown past the point now when, if I was a little bit younger and I'd seen this before, maybe I would have found it a little more funny. But I'm glad I watched these films. So you know what? They're fun to watch through, and they're definitely kind of a time capsule. And whether that's a time capsule of the 1960s, the 1990s, or the early 2000s, have another watch through of the Austin Powers franchise, and let me know what your thoughts are. Does it still hold up for you, or is it a little bit dated, or very dated? But until then, that's fabulous, baby. See ya.